Hey folks, and welcome back to another podcast episode here on the HCC channel. As promised, we've got the L1 project manager, LUNCBurn army here to join us. Dude, things were crazy last time we spoke. Things are a little bit up and down, things are a little bit left and right. The community didn't really know where they're going, and things just seem to be heading in the right direction now. How have you been, dude?
Doing well, doing well. The team's been excited. We've been having a lot of fun, lots of hard work. We've had a couple weeks ago we did the V20.1, which was the Cosmos SDK and Tendermint upgrades, and those that was a big chain upgrade, and uh, it went as smooth as you could really ask for, and so we were very happy with that. And then, you know, uh, we've been working for a long time on the upgrade to Parity, and we're ready to go for the 14th. So we're excited.
Having that update go off without a hitch as well with the Tendermint client and everything like that was pretty important for the community as a whole, especially for you as your team. And it goes to show, you're doing what you should be. Things are going the way that you want them to go. And everything seems to just be going off without a hitch, more or less.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it. But no, yeah, we definitely feel that way. We're going in the right direction, and that's really what we want to do, right? So when we look at the upgrade that was prior, that took a little bit longer, where we learned some lessons during that upgrade, and really what had happened was that just not enough voting power was online initially during the time of the upgrade. And so I published like an after action report, which is it really lists all of the lessons learned. And if you're interested and you go back and read it, it talks about exactly what happened. So every time we do one of these upgrades, we learn more, and this is kind of like a standard practice. You do a post-mortem review, right? And you look at it and you say, okay, what if we took these actions differently, what would have happened? And in the previous upgrade, what really happened was, we second guessed ourselves where we didn't need to. Had we just not done anything and waited an hour or longer for the rest of the validators to join. Some validators just rebooted a little bit early, and then that caused. So anyway, long story short, this time around, I literally uh, messaged every single validator saying, okay, we need you online right at this time. Not that we didn't do that before, but this was like very much like very aggressive to say, okay, we've got to be upgrade, we've got to all be there. And everybody did their part. So, you know, it and we saw the same thing in the testnet upgrade that we just did for Parity, same sort of thing. So hopefully we can keep that sort of cadence going.
Yeah, this whole situation around having nodes that are actually, invigorating themselves in the community is very important. And then also being part of the blockchain, because these tests, I'm very fortunate myself. The people who I rent my infrastructure from are consistently ensuring that we're part of these things if we need to be, which is really helpful. But, you have a lot of these kind of nodes that are run from people's homes. So like you were saying, it's important for those kind of people to understand their position in this blockchain and understand the importance of being around and available and understanding those updates.
Well, and especially so I would say, I mean, I think, for the most part everybody does do that. But especially if you're, you've got a lot of voting power, it becomes increasingly more important. So we're fortunate that everybody, I think we do have a good validator community, very good, and they all came and showed up. there's a few that could I hope to see them a little bit quicker this time coming up, but that's we can only encourage as best we can. Um, but I think we've got enough folks to show up on time, so we should be all set.
I think eventually,
Like last time it was literally I don't think it was more than I don't know 10-15 minutes. It was like I said, I don't want to jinx it. It was fantastic.
it's good to, like I was saying, this is what we need to see, especially from where I'm sitting. My own personal opinion is you can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. You can, go into these Twitter spaces, you can argue with people, you can bicker with people, but ultimately you're only going to get results from actions. And it's just, you're not seeing, I mean, you can remember, for instance, the last podcast we had, it was sort of like, is this proposal going to pass? Are we going to continue to move forward down this road? And being where we are now, the way you've bounced back, it's so important. I think this is right. So, with everything that's pretty much going on, and just like I was saying previously, just before we got cut off, this is going to be clipped back together, folks. You're doing the right thing. Your bond has grown stronger with the community. You've learned more. You're learning more, like you're saying. But ultimately, you bounce back from a situation which just seemed like a disaster.
Well, I mean, that part was a little bit confusing to me because, the first quarter in our opinion was very successful. Like we actually achieved far more than we had set out to, and we were really well positioned. So I think that there was a lot of at the time misinformation being put around in the community, and a lot of just I mean we don't need to dredge all that stuff up, but it was I think that there was a lot of that kind of stuff going on with things being said that just weren't true. And then it seems that that has sort of subsided, and we've just gotten to work and just have continued on doing what we were doing in the first quarter,
Are the
which
team
is
finding things easier now that you're not in and out of these Twitter spaces and sort of trying to be everywhere when you can't be? Are you guys finding that things are, a little bit less on your shoulders?
yeah, I think that that was a good decision that we made with the social media policy. We still have the guys tweet out a little bit. When they're excited about something. You saw Vin or everybody tweet out a little bit about block entropy because we want people to still have their own unique personalities. But yeah, we made that a policy that we really don't engage in Twitter Spaces ad hoc. They're only for updates, and they're very scheduled. And just because we're too busy right now. It's been very busy, and we've added a couple of pieces that were passed in governance previously, and there were some security vulnerabilities that were found. And when those come to light, you don't really plan on them, but you have to address them as they arise, right? So we had that with the cherry patch, and that took a little bit of time and effort. And yeah, so I mean those are all important pieces that. So yeah, we've just been very busy.
Yeah, we can tell it's good to see, not a huge flood of proposals going up all the time. People really knuckling down and getting on with what is there and what is to be done. I like the fact that on your sprint meetings, I can see that you use Trello, right?
We use GitHub. We use GitHub. I use a few different tools uh, for sort of the roadmap. But if you if you go to it's the same thing as a Trello board. It's identical. GitHub has the same functionality where we where we create the issue, and then it moves through the process. In fact, my screen here with you and show you.
Let me know when you've got it up, dude.
Yep. So I'm sharing. You should be able to see my screen.
Yep.
And let me just jump over to the GitHub. So this is our GitHub repo. And so basically, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see a screen. Yeah, it's literally identical to Trello. So my
Yeah.
my
Yep.
point here as well is like you're not having these kind of, so the way Terra Rebels worked is, these meetings telling people what they needed to do and stuff like that, and not really having this system in place where there's tickets. What's ready? Right, take a ticket. That's in progress. Let's get it reviewed. Okay, that's done. Go to the next thing. It's just this real professional image that you guys are portraying, and it's looking good. Same with the social rules. It's so good to see these things happening, because you don't see, for example, the people over at TFL in Twitter spaces all the time, developers having arguments in public with each other, and moving and transitioning to this more professional approach. It's gonna look so good from the outside. So when I see stuff like this, I see more positivity in the L1 team.
Yeah, I think so, and I mean we've been using this throughout, and for sure I think it's a really great model we have with the 2 week sprints. You can see, like in the case of what's in the done section here, it's all basically, there's a couple of the security pieces I was talking about, but it's all related to the trade. And we have the minimum validator commission of 5%.
And this one's
That's also coming to.
this is quite a big one for me. This is a big one because ultimately, any sort of attempt to make a change like this has always been fronted with that hurdle of how do you get the current validators to make that commission go up. It was always been a thing. So to see this actually happening, and even though it's going to upset a lot of people because you're not going to be able to get 100% of your rewards anymore, this is beneficial for the long term health of this blockchain.
Yeah, I mean we're here to implement. It certainly doesn't allow folks to just run at. It allows everybody has to be at the same level playing field at a minimum, and I think that that's a positive thing. It passed governance. I mean, it since it passed governance, it's up to we serve at the pleasure of the community. So if something passes governance, unless it's technically not possible to do, we really try to fit it in. This one was a little bit tricky just in terms of how to do it, but we were able to get it done. So on the 14th, if a validator is running less than 5%, their minimum commission will automatically be changed to 5%. And same with their maximum commission rate. If their maximum commission rate was less than 5%, it would be shifted up to 5%.
This sets a new bar. It sets a new standard of having to have validators that are doing things, they're building, they're, being useful. And we've got too many, as much as, we've got all these great validators and everybody's getting involved. Ultimately, we need validators that are going to build and believe in this blockchain. And a lot of them just simply don't. It's just a reward system for them to get liquidity. And I know obviously you can't comment on that. It's my own personal humble approach to this, but I just see this minimum commission this is game changing. This is for very little small projects and nodes that are actually doing stuff and actually building things. This brings them to a level where they've got hope again. Maybe we can get some voting power. Maybe we can start to become, where we can pay this off, where it can be doable. We need these new nodes to thrive, because if we consistently allow the big fishes to fry, they're just going to eat all the smaller fishes. We've seen it happen time and time again. So this minimum commission is absolutely got me stoked. I mean, Parity as a whole's got me stoked. So going into this, how many individual things are actually there in Parity?
Oh, I mean, there are so many parts to consider. With Parity, like the upgrade itself, just it's a very technically complex uh, upgrade. That touches the CosmWasm version, the VM uh,
Because
version of IBC Go. Uh,
currently we're using an outdated smart contract system, right?
Correct, and that's really what we're upgrading. And then the biggest part of all of it that we really had to spend a lot of time on, obviously testing and pieces like that. It really had to do with how do we migrate and how do we take the old state of smart contracts and bring them over in such a way that when we upgrade, that when the upgrade happens, that folks like yourself and others that have smart contracts on the chain, that they have the easiest possible time with upgrading. I mean, there's no you know, we actually did find, I shouldn't say that there's no situation where no work is required. We did find in testing, Strathcole helped us with some testing as well, and we found that some NFTs actually upgraded without needing to be touched at all, which was quite surprising to us. We didn't expect that to happen. So some of the simpler smart contracts you don't even need to touch. But as a general rule, there will be some level of update, that folks may need to do, but that was to be expected. And it was just one of our considerations was, trying to make that as smooth as possible that we could. So, yeah.
Folks, let me whittle
Uh,
this down for you a little bit here. Exactly how many people are deploying smart contracts on this blockchain? I think there's maybe 2 to 3 people that are actively deploying new smart contracts consistently. That's scary.
yeah, I mean, we had Terra Poker arrive just recently. There's a few others that might be doing. I mean, yeah, I mean, in terms of large numbers, I think you're probably in that right neighborhood. I think that there's some more applications that are currently on chain that we reached out to everybody. We commented, saying, "Hey, this is coming." I
Well,
mean,
this is a good thing, Steve. This is a good thing. When you look at this and you really whittle it down for what it is, it's good that there's not that many people deploying smart contracts. We're going into a fresh system, this whole new concept, a new language. And there's only 3 people that have really got to accept that change, more or less, on top of the projects that are already out there and deployed. This is a good thing because you're not going to have so many dramas.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the folks that are there, we're making sure that it's going to be as smooth as possible. You can see that the upgrade documentation is in review, so we've got that for them. Again, it's not an extensive update so far, touch wood, and yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting time to be at that level of technological parity with the other Cosmos chains. And then we get into, you can see here some of the stuff that's sort of in the ready column. There's better auto gas. So there's a feature, there's an issue with current gas prices can cause some issues when doing transactions. We're trying to see that's something that we've identified as a enhancement that we want to try to fix. Um, Another piece that passed governance was the split the burn tax with the distribution model. So that's sort of sitting in the ready column. And then one piece that I've added that we have in the month of June is some database assessment work and just general state of the blockchain. I've asked the guys to do some work on, uh, you know, what are we going to do in terms of the Genesis file size and ensuring that, as time goes on, this it only keeps getting bigger, right? Because it has all of the chain's history there. So it's something we have to address at some point. And so I'd really like to see a future release plan where we think about, now that we're going to be up to date, we want to stay up to date. And this part of release planning is just a best practice that, every organization does that deploys software. And that's something that, as a blockchain, we should be doing is planning our releases so that we're staying up to date with the rest of the cosmos. And you don't want to do you don't want to be doing a major chain upgrade every month, certainly, and you don't want to wait 2 years, right? So there's a good spot in the middle somewhere. Every 6 to 9 months you take the latest stable version, you do a big upgrade, and so on and so forth. So that's there. And then yeah, we've got a bunch of other stuff on the go. The documentation that's in progress. It's quite a large piece. It's been in progress for some time, but we're basically forking the Terra docs that are on Terra Money right now, and updating all that documentation because it's horribly out of date. And then there's some other stuff that'll appear in the backlog, as we progress. So that's basically what we've been doing. And yeah, this is I love it just because when you're working on an item, it's as easy as, oh, this split burn tax is ready to go, and then you just drop it over, and the guys update it with your comments. You jump in and make sure that we have a
It's a
good description of what needs to be done, and then the tasks, and then we add all the comments there. It's really a great system.
Yeah, this is so broadly used, like widely. I mean, I used this when I was running my two stores, one in Tokyo and one in northern Scotland. I would just use this for my managers and supervisors, just literally for doing hours. And so you can use it for anything, but it's just good. It's good to have a system like this in place instead of relying on a weekly meeting. And, these can be picked up at any time. So, let's speak a little bit about after parity. We're currently in the pre-stage, but parity happens, it goes off without a hitch, touch wood. Are we looking at getting a certic audit ourselves?
We haven't done so. Like, we haven't proposed it. I think that having any level of code audit is a great idea. They Any type of security assessments that we can have done, or third party assessments that give you that check for vulnerabilities are fabulous. So I think that those are all good things. We're certainly I think that there's some ongoing discussions that we'll be reaching out to TFL just to see when and if there was the last audit was done. But I think those are all great ideas.
It's definitely something we're going to need to consider as a community, and then definitely for you as a team. We've gone through a huge stage of change. A lot of different people have worked on different things, putting lots of things into place. We've seen from the Terraport situation how someone embedded can do something dangerous. That's why I think getting a certic audit would not only be good for what I was saying, but also to then, produce this to the broader world, the crypto community, and say, look, hey, yes, we crashed at this point, but we're at this point now. We've done all of this, and we've got an audit. We've got the green thumbs up, and everything's looking good. I think that is a good way to start a new path of restoring trust back into this blockchain.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think, the one thing I would say is that there's already a lot of eyes always on L1 code because all of the validators, especially validators, uh, they review all of the commits and things like that, and we post the code. So when they download and they review it prior to putting it on their nodes. So the likelihood of those types of in somebody embedded doing something becomes far less than say in an L2. However, I think anytime you do any level of security vulnerability assessment, great things to do. Like I'm in a full support. The thing is, they're not the cheapest in the world typically, unfortunately. But so we have to look at that when we can, CERTIC and things like that. They can be quite expensive. But we should definitely shop around and see what we can get done. And I think it's a great idea. One thing to mention also, just with some work that's going on in the background with, uh, there's some folks trying to bring Mars Protocol over, to work with Luna Classic, and I think that passed governance, if I'm not mistaken, as well as a signaling proposal.
It did.
Um, we will I'll be looking to post a uh, sort of bug bounty type incentive program proposal in the very near future. Just that we will give incentive to people that find and fix or find any vulnerabilities or things like that or any bugs. And so that's going to be, I'm going to be working on that. We have existing budget within the L1 team. So I think that we could probably use it won't, just so people know it's a small, it'll probably be some sort of small, not some sort of huge financial lucrative thing if you find a bug, but something, where we can give, if a community member or somebody finds a bug, and we confirm it, they get, a reward.
I have
So I think we're going to look to build that out and see what we can do that way.
I've seen bug bounties utilized across board since millennia, since computers were a thing. I mean, coding's changed a lot since I was a kid, but that was the thing when I was younger. And there's people out there that, depending on what part of or stage of your life you're at, you look at money differently. So for what maybe might not seem like a lot for us, could actually be quite a lot for someone who goes around doing 10, 15 bug bounties a day. This could really pay someone's, it's it's more incentives as well to do things and to find things in chain. People love finding problems anyway, so I can't see this being much of an issue.
No, no, I would expect it would be welcomed. And I mean, I already have, there's been a few users that have found some, one in particular, it was the funniest one, and uh the individual was entering their to open a wallet on a new device, right? So they took their seed phrase and they were keying it in, and they had accidentally made a small typo and it wasn't accepting it. So then they went and only entered the first 12 words of their mnemonic. And it turns out if you only enter the first 12 words and you enter your wallet name and everything correct and your password and everything, it will go through. But it will create a brand new wallet. So there you go. They found a bug, and that deserves whatever incentive we get. Now, mind you, we want to the flip side to this is that it makes all of us want to make sure that we have as few bugs as we can, or else it would get expensive very fast, right? But no, I think it's a win-win-win for everybody. So.
Definitely. So, Steve, walk us through the 14th. Let's walk through the 14th from morning to evening. How's it going to go down? What's going to happen? Let's explain it for all of the people listening. I think it's quite important. A lot of people are likely going to listen to this and want that kind of answer. When's it going to go down? How's it going to go down? What's the weather going to be like? Are we going to be driving cars? What jackets are we wearing? That kind of thing, Steve.
Well, I can tell you. So I'll tell you for the 14th. I'll start a few days before. So we have a checklist we put together for these upgrades, and we start to execute it a few days before. And I'm a couple days prior. Well, first of all, the proposal posting. Um, in I don't know if you could see it in one of my tabs actually when I was sharing my screen. I had the document open for the new Commonwealth post since we've moved over there from Agora is going to go up tonight or tomorrow. And so I have that document kind of ready to go just about. So that's going to be posted. But just a couple days prior to the 14th, we want to make sure that we go through our checklist, right? It's almost like a pilot getting ready to fly an airplane or a rocket ready to launch. We have a checklist of items that we go through. We make sure that we have the latest address book and that all validators have that. That we have the most recent snapshot so that in case we had to roll back, we can sync up to a very recent time. So we kind of circulate that amongst the team. We say, okay, yeah, we're all done. At that point, I'm actually reaching out to every single validator, saying, okay, here we are. It's going to be roughly 1:30 Eastern time or 17:20 Universal time, and the upgrade's going to be at this time. It's going to be at this block height. Please be sure you're available at that time. Let us know if you're not. And then that way we know who's going to be there. Uh, the morning of, we have our normal stand up meeting. We go through the upgrade for the day. It's probably quicker. Last time it was a much quicker meeting because we knew we're going to see each other in a couple hours. Probably about an hour before the upgrade, we join a bridge together, like a meeting like this, except the whole team's there, and we start going through kind of talking, maybe even just a half hour before, and then we get in on the Discord with the other validators and start counting down the blocks. The chain will halt on the upgrade block. Then the validators update, and as soon as we achieve greater than 70%, really it's 67, 68%, but we're kind of pleased when we're past 70%, because then we're kind of assured that the chain will keep producing blocks, and then the upgrade is done. Then at that point, the all of the smart contracts will be running on the new version of WASM. So at that point, we will see, you know, which contracts need, providers will have to make some small edits if if they run into, they'll need to update their contract to work with
A
it, and
lot of
then
them should have already done that. We've already done that here at HCC, so I'm hoping a lot of the others have already done that.
I think so. I mean, I think so. But I with an upgrade this massive, it would be unreasonable to expect that uh there's not going to need to be some level of update afterwards. It just I would be, I mean, I would be shocked if it went so smoothly that not a single contract, was missed, or you know what I mean? Like it's too big. There's always something that, somebody will need to update a contract, I'm sure. So anyway, that will happen, and we'll be there to support anybody if they're running into any challenges. And yeah, then that's the upgrade. And we're
Yep.
at parity, and then onwards and upwards.
Have you,
Start calling all the other Cosmos apps, and tell them to join.
as it all goes off without a hitch, I always have this vision in my head a lot of the times with Starship doing their first flip landing, and it lands, and everyone's like, "Way!" and it just goes boom.
Well, that's why we
Hopefully,
test, right? That's why
yeah,
we've tested.
yeah. Thank God we don't have to
I'm
launch
okay
ours
with
into
it
the
doing that in
air.
the test environment.
Yeah.
Like that's actually good in the test environment,
Yes, it is. You
because
get a
then you know
lot
why
of
it
data.
happened. Get data, and like, so it's good when and actually I want to talk about USTC a little bit if we can, once we get past parity.
Oh,
Um,
we're gonna get there, Steve. Hold your horses.
and that's where in the test environment, that's the time you want to do that, and you catch things that you didn't think of, and then you retest, and then when we get there, we want to have the smooth landing, right? Like the ones that you see where the rocket lands and it sits there, and then it sits there, and then you come back the next day and it's still there. That's what we'd like to see.
The ones that do it on the sea, on the landing pads that are all rickety as well. So you know that it's like super stable and everything is just sat there, just, going with
Exactly. I'm
the.
crossing my fingers as we speak, because I want this to go off smoothly. So everybody's worked so hard. I mean, you do the best you can.
We're
You
all only
test
human.
extensively, right? Right, and that's all you can do. You test in the test environment. We tested on the Bejor test net, which was, so first you start with unit testing. So locally, you test on, the developers test on their own environment. Then they take it and they promote it. We created, using some Star Trek, naming. Bajor 1, I think that's from Deep Space Nine, is one of our test nets that we use specifically for these sorts of upgrades. And we spin up the environment, and we do that as our own internal upgrade, and then we tested smart contracts against it. So that's twice now we've done the upgrade and the test. And then the third time is now we've gone to Rebel 2 testnet, and now we've done a full dress rehearsal, for full rehearsal upgrade with the testnet validators, and they've now tested the upgrade, and it's running, and then you test smart contracts against it as well. So I mean, that's what we can do, and then we
From
get to
from the
the main
data
net.
from the data I've seen, like you were just saying, when you guys were getting all of the validators to run through, I was provided a lot of that data information just to see what was going on and how it was all reacting. It seems like this is going to go off without a hitch. But let me just clarify, folks, because we did mention about a rocket exploding. That's not going to happen. Like Steve said, they can just roll back to the previous state that we were at. It's as simple as you messing up your Windows computer and then just using system restore. That's the best way for you to look at it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You always have to have your rollback procedure there. I mean, I don't think we've tested it as extensively as we can, so we feel confident going into the upgrade. We feel confident about the last time we did it. Like I said, we've done it now 3, 4 times this time around, and that's the best you can do. And we feel good about it, and we're excited, and you know once this one's done, then it's we have to finish up the remaining items we have in Q3. So if anybody wants to help chase down on-ramp wallet providers, that would be great. I'd love for some of the big ones to list Luna Classic
Oh,
on their provider
wouldn't it just be
because
great?
yeah, I've reached out to a lot of them. I've had a couple of meetings, but we still haven't received that go ahead. Um, in Q2, we said that we needed to do a proof of concept, which is very achievable, very doable. But I think if one of them agreed, we could actually launch an on ramp very quickly because it's much easier than we thought it was going to be. They really, all these on ramp providers have very plug and play types of implementations. So it's more about about the token itself being on the provider.
On the Cosmos, right?
Well, it more so like if you look at MoonPay or some of these providers, they'll have Ethereum, they'll have
Have we spoken to Paybolt?
I
That you write that
don't
down.
believe
That's
so.
probably a route for you guys to chase because we are already. They have us completely listed on their system. There's a way. There's means of creating some sort of commodity pool to have that on ramp.
Yeah, are they an on-ramp provider?
They can be. They can be. It's either that or you go to somewhere like, I don't know, for example, this is really cynical for me to say this and there's people going to get the but Flare, you could work something out with Flare because the way that they work with their Songbird system, I'm only just learning about this, but the way Songbird works, we as a blockchain could try and understand that module and then guess what, try and better utilize it over on our system because guess what, they are exactly the same as us. So there's modules out there that we can do this. And then Tobias touched on commodity pools, and I've always thought that was the route to go. If you're going to produce on ramps, you need to produce some sort of commodity pools to prevent that,
Yeah,
because you can
yeah.
go into overbuying and
So the big
overselling.
providers, they provide you. That's kind of what they do. They they add your token to they have a liquidity pool that within their system they can you can switch from fiat
It's normally a wrapped
to
token, folks, by the way. That I don't, if just in case everybody's confused. It's normally a wrap token. We were on Coinbase previously with Wrap Luna. That was more or less an on and off ramp for people.
yeah. So I mean, there's 20 or 30 top providers. We've reached out to a lot of them. Uh, we'll continue those dialogues, and hopefully someone will say yes. And if they do, and they're a good provider, then that's something we can look to implement relatively quickly.
It's all looking very, 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 very sweet on the horizon. I feel like we've been marching along this desert for a long time, and now all of a sudden that horizon that just never felt like it was getting closer is all of a sudden it's like, whoa, well, that got big. That got here quick. We're in the final countdown. We've got 12 days. 12 days until this blockchain changes forever. A lot of people, I don't think they comprehend just how important this is, just on the basis of having an open road, leading to this USTC, and you saying, you serve at the betterment of the community. You're proving that. You've got a USTC test environment being produced. This is exactly what we wanted to see.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I can just share with you sort of my own personal desire, really, and I've spoken with the team about it. Where I shared, we've got the release planning, and I think we talked about this a little bit more. Uh, you know, we've got an extremely talented group of guys, and they know the L1 better than anyone else, in my opinion. Like because we've been working with it so closely, right? Day in and day out. And you know, it becomes like we've got this great team and we've really developed some chemistry, and that's not easy to come by the way, where you get a real group of talented guys that are talented, but they also like each other, right? That can be a real, as I'm sure you know, it's not easy to find really good people, and it's not easy to find people that work really well together. And we have that. And I think we've got some really talented folks. And so, the discussion is, well, what number one, what did the community really want? And it seems to me that the community really cares about USTC from everything I've seen. And then the question is, well, how can we best serve the community and what will help this project out the most? And I personally feel that, setting the framework up for USTC is the way that we can do that.
USTC is the key. I I was in this from the beginning, and like from the very beginning, and just the amount of people that were around back then that were saying, oh, if you want to fix it, just repeg USTC. Every Twitter space you went to, it was just the same thing. If you want to fix it, just repeg USTC. We get to a point of where we're like, right, we're going to repeg it. And all of those people are suddenly like, nah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, man. It's not going to work. It's like, well, this not only has the ability to create a step-by-step repeg, it's the power that comes behind that. And then the power that comes with having the only algorithmic stablecoin in the cosmos. I mean, it's a game changer. There's
Yeah, and I mean,
so much that comes with this.
yeah, and that's where, so the test environment, the idea behind that is, so Q3, right? If we're lucky enough to do Q3, there's probably some chain upgrades we would want to consider, and some other stuff that we would do there. But the way that the Q3 proposal is right now being structured, and I'd like to get that up sooner than later. I'd like to avoid the situation we had last time where, because there was some back and forth on the proposal, we were actually started the quarter kind of late. I mean, we kept working anyways, but it took some time. um, I'd like to get that proposal up for a vote. I would say, like, you know
Keeping on point
the
is
week after
key.
Parity, maybe, sort of idea,
As
like.
soon as you can get it up. I mean, staying on point right now is everything. It's
Yeah,
everything.
I mean,
I
might as well.
myself, I watch the wallets, I watch the data. We have the website, we're constantly tending to it, and all I see is data a lot of the time. But honestly, it's just, it's all, this is just, I can't fathom it sometimes. It's like thinking about space never ending, and then my brain just starts to go into this like infinite loop of like burning out. But there's just so much that comes from parity, but keeping on point and just keeping, hurdles and goals for this community, I think that's very important. Very, very important.
Yeah, so the way that I think the Q3 proposal is the main focus is going to be on USTC. To really, I think there's a few key pieces, right? We need to go into that test environment and take that market module and understand every single little nuance of it, and try to find, if there's first of all, try to find if there's any creative ways that we can use it that haven't been thought of yet. You know that we could. First of all, we want to have strong capital controls that will prevent any future possibility of a death spiral. Right? We we want to attack it. We're gonna go at it looking at this, that with a couple of assumptions. Making a few assumptions going in. The first will be that Do Kwon had it 95% right, right? Where had they just used something other than Bitcoin as a collateral, there would have been no issue at all.
So
And
let
maybe had there just
so if you used, for example, right, USDC, which is making an entry through Axler, you know, if you think about that, you back it this time with USDC, problem solved.
right. I mean, theoretically, that's definitely one of the ideas that we're going to that's going to be discussed. We're going to have a working group of folks that can put their heads together around this stuff, and certainly that's been an idea that's been raised. One of the so the other thing is, capping out the you know having a circuit breaker, so to speak, or a where you don't allow it to, if something happened where the peg is lost, where you just the system cannot go and do this crazy death spiral. We need That's the first thing that we need to really find a way and test it and test it and test it. And this is the case where we're intentionally trying to blow the rocket up. You know what I mean? Like we're we're out there on there and we're basically firing missiles at the thing to try to recreate this. And this is an important exercise that has to be done to like. Could you imagine if we were able to succeed where we found a way to create a reserve that was stable, that didn't fluctuate in value, and where we were able to over collateralize, and where we were able to ensure that it was impossible to have a death spiral happen? I mean, it's not easy to do all that, but I think those are kind of going to be our guiding principles, and we're going to do that extensively, research and testing, and then my hope would be that we would have, you know, we'd be able to produce a solution and then look to implement at some point in the future.
Learning to recreate that death spiral, say, for instance, folks, they recreate the death spiral and there was only 3 different ways they've managed to do it out of the millions of different ways they've attempted. This could actually lead to figuring out how this all happened to start with.
Well, yeah, I think that part is actually, we have the benefit of history and we have the benefit of being able to look back in hindsight. And that's just something that unfortunately they didn't have. And again, I have to say, like, it's a remarkable blockchain and we're very fortunate to be part of it. And to me, it's just a problem begging to be solved. And I really want us to you know to put our very best effort into solving it. And I think that would be, we've got a talented group of guys, and I think we can bring some other people in. And I'd really like to see us try our very best to get that done. Because again, I think that has the best chance of getting us out of that sort of meme coin territory, if you know what I mean.
Definitely, you can shed the meme coin supply for starters if you repegged USTC, and then you create a situation for a liquidity cycle, which is very important for people to understand that this road to repegging USTC ultimately can lead to us becoming the centerpiece of the cosmos, burning through the LUNC supply like crazy again and making it profitable, whilst having all of the different chains having to dip in and out of our chain. So then what you'll start to see is, on the map of zones, you'll see more traffic coming towards our network because people are like, right, I want to go through I want to get out, I want to go back into this, or I want to sit on chain in this stable, boom, they've got to come to Terra Classic to do that.
Precisely.
It brings so much liquidity for this blockchain, and liquidity is what is going to ultimately see us push upwards again, see those 13x's in prices again, and be back in those good times. But
yeah, and I just wanted to add, I mean, there's ongoing discussions right now happening with the exchanges with Redline Drifter's proposal, and so should should there be some sort of agreement reached that the chains are willing to, the CEXs are willing to implement his proposal, then that job that much is proposed test, and then we would proceed with testing that implementation, and so on and so forth. Now, the way to mitigate risk is, well, what if the CEXs don't want to do this, right? And now, just to add, I don't want to say that they won't, because there's, I've heard that there's some good developments from a couple of exchanges, so they could very well, say yes, let's go this route. If they don't, though, right? We always want to have another approach we can take, and I think there's many different ways to get to where we want to go, and or at least there's a few good, there's a few good approaches that we can take here. I don't think that there's only one approach. I don't think this is Doctor Strange in the Marvel movie, and he's gone back and looked at 10 million scenarios and there was only one. I think that there's likely at least a few good approaches that could be applied. That where we start to address the USTC supply, start building a reserve, and then start looking at how we reintroduce the market module that way. So yeah, I mean, that's what excites me the most personally about this, and that's what just talking personally, I would really like to tackle that head on and find a way to address that. It's like I said, it's a problem waiting to be solved. It's just a technical solution. It's not an easy one. Don't get me wrong. It's a monumental task, but the only way you can, get these things done is to start. Really, like you have to start, in my opinion.
That's always the hardest part.
Right? You just gotta okay, it's 40 miles, the marathon's 40 miles. Well, let's go, let's start walking, or, maybe we can't run at first, but let's just, get the test environment. Let's look at other people's previous proposals and what they've suggested, and let's get a working team together, and of the quant type minds in our community, and let's see if we can bring an expert from outside, and let's come up with some different ideas to try and successfully repeg, and in the test environment, like I said, let's try to see if we can make that a success, and once we have a good design, then we would push that forward. And I'm a big believer in iteration, right? So it may not be all pieces at once. The first piece to go online might be the creation of a reserve that makes sense, and to start building that reserve. And then you do it in stages, much like we've done with all of our upgrades. I think that's the only way you get something like this done.
I think it's safe to say things are going to start moving a lot faster once we reach the 14th. Because like we've said many times here now, between you and I, this is an open road. The main focus is USTC. All of the energy is realistically going to now be going into this test environment and then moving forward to this incremental repeg that's planned out. Things should start moving faster. People should, lots of S's there, should start seeing like a reflective response of more things happening, more to report on, more going on?
I would hope so. I mean, I think at the end of the day, a lot of, there's, like I said, there's many paths to us getting sort of out of that meme coin territory. You could see a future where, we're at 35% staking, and or of the supply staked. And let's suppose we could, 10x the volume just through utility and dApps. Well, we would be, it would be far better than where we are now, right? So that's one type of road or scenario. You have the other where you have these dApps like the one that you've launched with your NFT collection, where you're burning, Luna Classic, and so there's lots of different approaches, but I still think the most efficient one and the best one to provide. I mean, there's just a lot of folks that lost a lot of value and are still probably holding a lot of USTC with hopes that one day, somebody would uh, try to do something and resolve it. Uh, I think it's the most efficient way, and like you said, I think that, and this is again just me talking as an investor, right? I'm only here to serve at the pleasure of the community. I'm just speaking, my own sort of feelings. Um, for me as an investor, I would feel that that's, if we have that sort of environment back, but this time we have hindsight as our advantage, and we can hopefully you know make it so that it is impossible to for that to happen again. Then I think that's a really exciting proposition, right? At least in my opinion.
If you like gambling, this is definitely for you. I guess a lot of
Yeah,
people.
well, I mean,
I would think
we
a
want,
lot.
yeah, I don't want to, non-financial advice, right?
Oh, don't worry, it's all over the
Or
screen.
anything like
You're
that.
safe. You're safe. You're safe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying what I wish. I wish I could wave a magic wand and, just erase 5 trillion of the supply in one fell swoop. That would be nice.
Just like a
Uh,
fairy, just gone.
yeah, or just like a keystroke, right? Just like enter on the keyboard. Could you imagine? But
You'd
that
have God
doesn't.
status for life. Whoever repegs USDC is going to get God status for life.
Oh, that's not something that I really I would just be happy with. I think it would be a great achievement for the team and for the community and for everybody. It's not one, like we can only build the mechanism, right? We can create the mechanism for the reserve. We can create, potentially, hopefully, we can find a way to re-enable the market module in such a way that, we can start to do that sort of incremental repeg. But
That
ultimately,
dangerous
it's up
market
to the.
module.
Sorry.
The dangerous market module.
Yeah, exactly, right? Which is why I keep focusing on that test environment, because, we have to really understand it really well and go through many, many iterations of how we would go about implementing it and turning it back on, and how to prevent it from having this happen again. But at least, and maybe we find out that we just that, hey, it's not a good idea, right? We've done all this work, and that's a possibility too, right? But at least we haven't left any stone unturned. We've really given it our very best effort, and we've given it all we can. I think that's sort of where I'd like to see us go for Q3.
Sounds good to me. I think, like you were saying at the beginning of this video, there's some kind of like, I don't know, like round table podcast, isn't there? With all of us, a lot of us are going to be there.
Yeah, I think so. I think that there was some plan for that to happen at some point, and I'd really like to get some sort of a brainstorming or a suggestion sort of inbox, right, for this to work. Like I was alluding to, I'd
What?
really like to
Like a
get.
suggestions box, Steve?
Yeah, like, one of those types of things, right? Where, maybe we have our own Discord for the USTC repeg or I don't know. I'm just, like where community members can offer their suggestions and input but like I said, we can only provide the mechanism. People will actually have to use USTC.
This is
And
exactly what I keep telling people. We can only build the things. We need you to use them.
that's exactly true. People really, we as a community, we as investors, we have to use all of the tools that are at our disposal. And if everybody only stakes and takes their staking rewards, I mean, we ultimately we need to build good tools. So on the USTC front, what that means to me is that there's got to be incentive for USTC holders. There's got to be utility for them. Certainly much safer or much more reasonable utility than say the last iteration. Um, so I think all those things are important. So builders like yourself, as we get towards thinking about USTC, I think it would be great for people to make utility where USTC is used exclusively um, to incentivize use because that'll be very important for us. And that just helps all around too, right? Even right now, we're in a deflationary environment. Every time you use Luna Classic or you use USTC, uh, it helps.
Definitely. And I mean, those use cases, those sort of things right now, if people are wondering, where could that sort of things actually be utilized? You've got three metaverses that are on the cusp of having good public launches available for people to go and dip their toes in and dibble dabble with if they've not already got public launches that are closed already. Everything's getting to a point, like I said, where that horizon's not seeming like it's so far away, and all of a sudden you're starting to look up and see that we've got this mountain of awesomeness ahead of us, and we're here, and now all we need to do is just all start climbing together, stay strong, stay formed, and stay on point. Really looking forward to the 14th, Steve. Really looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll have to get some sort of just another one of these podcasts in, talk about how it all went and what's going on after, sort of thing. But I
Yeah,
think
I was joking around. I was joking around that we should throw a parody party for that's one of my dad jokes, right? For when we're at Parity, and then like I said, I really hope that folks will that the other D apps in the cosmos. We've got a vibrant community, and I just it just came to mind now. As a new D app comes over, I think legitimate D apps, right, that show up, it would be great for our community to welcome and show them lots of love and appreciation and to be a vibrant, positive community and to use their tools that they develop. Um, because as more DApps get their tools used, remember they'll have their own crowd that already exists on maybe other blockchains. When they come over and they announce, maybe a few of their users come with them, right? And then maybe they'll go and they'll pick up an NFT from the HCC factory, and maybe they'll pick up a another maybe they'll go and sit and play at one of the card tables for Terra Poker, or maybe they'll so on and so forth. So I think it's just a snowball that sort of happens if we can get more and more utilities over. Um, the more people transact, the more that's burned. The more transactions there are on chain, the more staking rewards delegates receive. So all of these things are very positive. AI's Ed, I almost called Ed AI, which is funny.
beep, boop,
The
beep, boop.
you know uh, block entropy is just on the horizon. I think it's a super cool use case that's going to, you know, uh, be very interesting.
From what I
How
can
that
tell, it's his own version of Mid Journey.
yeah, Mid Journey, Chat GPT, like
He's basically just like recreated Mid Journey, his own version of it, and you use LUNC and something else that you can use to pay to do it, right?
yeah. I mean, but think about it this way, like uh, how
Sorry,
easy is
I'm
it to
terrible
create?
for whittling things down. I'm sorry. It's a
No,
really
I
good
mean, like
thing. It's a really
it's
good
like you
thing.
can almost like trivial, like you could just say, he just decided on a weekend to create another version of Mid Journey, like that to me, like like, oh yeah, he just in his spare time went to his shed and created another version of ChatGPT, you know.
Ed is on a different scale of intelligence from the time I've
Right?
spent
It's
with
like,
him, and he's very very. There's only one person I actually know who is probably on that level of intelligence, and that would be Strath Cole. Guy's a god.
yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate to have these types of very intelligent folks, but no, I mean, to me, it's just remarkable, and to have it be part of the blockchain where, his vision of being able to have previously used unused compute power be distributed. So you had all those Ethereum miners with GPUs, and it was a real problem for folks like Ed and for the whole machine learning industry, because you couldn't find GPUs. They were so expensive. And now, they're available, and there's a lot of Ethereum miners that maybe they still have their hardware available and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
So
it's there's a
this is going to be just fabulous in my opinion for that.
that has been game changing for a lot of people that are PC gamers. By the way, for instance, my card, when I purchased it new, I think I paid like £250. This was like 5 years ago. I use it as my physical card now. That card during the heat of mining and everything that was going on, they were like £800 cards. It's crazy how crazy it got. But yeah, the times are changing, and block entropy is a sign and a symbol that things are changing. I think the good thing is Ed's burning from that as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so in his test environment, the in his test environment, the sort of this version of it, the first initial launch, and I don't want to steal, it's not my project, so I only want to speak to it at a high level. No, but I think that for people to participate, they're going to burn LUNC. I think you'll see Ed post his full version details, and there's it just in my speaking with him, there's going to be some sort of incentivization for Classic validators and delegators. So that I think is still being worked out. But I mean, I've tried block entropy, and I think it's like super cool. So I mean, that's just me as a user. I think you'll see, you know, a lot of folks, a lot of community members creating all kinds of images on there and stuff like that. So it'll be good.
Yeah, I've seen some wacky ones come out already. It's been pretty insane. Well, this has been absolutely amazing, Steve. It's been really good to have a chat with you again, see how everything's developing and see that everything's going really good. I appreciate you coming on the channel. I have no doubt all of the folks listening right now appreciate you too. So a huge thanks to you, and a huge thanks to all of the L1 team and for everything that you folks have done to get us to where we are. It's not been an easy road for you folks, especially. You picked up the slack from many, many failed attempts before you. You seem to be the third time lucky.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'll share with the community soon when we're going to post that Q3 proposal. But I think I'd really I'm kind of thinking that the sooner the better. and we'll get that up soon, and we'll get the bug bounty program up discussion up soon as well. And yeah, onwards and upwards.
Damn straight. Folks, really appreciate you tuning in, whatever time this video comes out. So, just stay safe. None of this has been financial advice. It's all been for educational purposes only. Beware of scammers, doppelgangers, anybody pretending to be me, or the L1 project team, or the L1 project manager, or anybody else that you've spoken about in this video here. And we'll catch you in the next one.